There are two trains of thought around entrepreneurship, around productivity right now that are very, very contradictory, and I want to give my 2 cents to that. The first train of thought is that you have to adhere to all kinds of routines, as in you should be waking up early, or you should get sunlight in early in the morning. Right now it's, by the way, morning hours. You should do all these kind of things, right? Ice cold baths, journaling, going to the gym regularly, all these kinds of things in order to then become also financially successful, to then also achieve your goals. That's the one train of thought. But then recently there's also a second train of thought, and that has been promoted, for example, by Alex Hormozi. He's saying that all those routines, all those side pieces actually don't matter. If you're trying to have your cold ice bath in the morning, and you do your gym session, and you do your journaling session, and you do your morning walk, and you take your vitamins and all of that stuff, and you do this for the first 4 or 5 hours in the morning, then how can you actually be productive? What actually only counts is to get the task done. So that's the other extreme, right? So what's actually correct here? I've got my opinion on this as well. In essence, the only thing that matters is to get the right tasks done quickly, right? To be very productive, to do smart and hard work. That's true. But I believe that those routines, they are built partially to help being prepared for reaching that goal. So you could take this analogy, for example, with, say, running, right? If you want to become the best runner in the world, of course, the only thing that counts is that during the Olympic Games, you're going to be the fastest on the track. But in order to become that, you have to do all the training. Or if you want to become a professional weightlifter, everything that counts is that you're lifting most weight on that critical day. But it doesn't come automatically, right? You have to do all this preparation for this. You have to do all the training for this. And for entrepreneurship, the problem is that there's simply so many different avenues to achieving your goal, right? You could be building a marketing agency. You could be doing Amazon drop shipping. You could be building a YouTube channel. You could build a paid community. You could do all kinds of things, manufacturing, whatever it is. There's so many ways to roam. And the problem is there isn't too much of a common denominator. As in, if you want to become the best runner, you obviously have to run. But if you want to build the best YouTube channel, of course you should be making videos. But the issue why most people don't do it is not necessarily because they don't know what to do. It's because of motivation. It's because of energy levels. So let's say you've got now your full-time 9-to-5 job, right? Or let's say 9-to-6, 9-to-7, because you're ambitious. You probably don't have the easiest job in the world. You've got a job that takes up the majority of your time. What happens then most of the time, right? You finish your day, you are exhausted, and you simply just want to watch Netflix. And so you, of course, have those aspirations of reaching, of building your entrepreneurial journey, of building that company, but you simply don't have the energy to do that. That's, I believe, a relatively common denominator, pretty much independent of what you try to achieve. And so what are all those routines for? They are to build up more energy. They are to build up more motivation. So doing this journaling, right, and reading all those affirmations out in the morning, etc., they simply just try to get into your background, into your subconscious mind. They're trying to plant this idea in that you're thinking about this more actively. They're trying to improve your motivation. Same for example, working out, right? They're trying to give you more energy because when you work out, you tend to also be more stress resistant in other areas. So there's some kind of spillover effect there. So you don't necessarily have to work out. You don't have to necessarily sleep at the same time every day. You don't have to necessarily wake up early in the morning. But it simply just supports everything, right? If you wake up early every day, then most other people around you don't, then you've got time for yourself that's completely distraction-free. You can work on your important piece in those early morning hours. So that's simply just one of many things. So you have to think about, when looking at all of those different routines, that's at least what I did. You have to think about what could benefit me most. Where am I currently lacking? And why am I not doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing?
Here's the problem with crypto YouTube. People promoting becoming degen or buying 100x coins. That's what gives clicks, but that's not what's going to bring you forward. I refuse to take money from centralized exchanges. I refuse to take money from crypto projects. I refuse to pump and dump a coin and filling up my pockets in the background. I don't do any of this. Instead, I share my knowledge in the form of tutorials in the premium membership. So that's content that won't do well on YouTube, but that builds up skill over time. You can also directly contact me over there. You can directly pick my brain. Feel free to check it out. TheBitcoinStrategy.com is the link.
Everybody knows that if you want to lose weight, you might want to cut the donut every now and then. Right? And everybody knows that if you want to do entrepreneurship, you have to learn about it. You have to learn about the niche that you're getting into. You have to do some execution, and you have to do this with as much effort as possible. You have to network with people that have already reached your goals, have to learn from them. Everybody knows these kind of things. The problem is it's simply not been done, because you finish your workday, you're completely exhausted, you just want to watch Netflix, forget about everything, and then maybe the next workday, while you're answering emails, you're continuing dreaming about this free life. That's what's essentially happening. And so the big question is, how can this cycle be broken? How can we get more energy to potentially work after our regular job? How can we get more motivation to also work during the weekends? And all of those routines, right? Not necessarily the ice baths. I've actually never tried ice baths, but most of those routines, right? Like the journaling and the waking up early and the doing sport and all of those kind of things, they're simply just tools to achieve that. So yes, in the end, the only thing that matters is to get the task done. But if currently you don't get the task done, then maybe more fundamental things are important. And that's what all of those things are about. It's not about filling up your day 4 or 5 hours in the morning in order to be then in the perfect state to do the task. It's simply just tools, stepping stones, that in case you don't do the things that you actually want to do, to potentially get closer to do them in the end, to potentially have then the mindset and the energy levels to actually do them. This is, I think, what this is all about. So if you're already working super hard, right? If you already have your full-time job and on the side every day you do 4 or 5 hours on your other thing, and you work on your other thing during the lunch hours, and you wake up early in the morning, do 2 or 3 hours before your actual job on that side thing, and maybe after work you also learn a bit more about whatever you want to achieve. If you're already doing all of those kinds of things, then you don't necessarily need to do massive journaling every day. You don't have to necessarily do all those other things, red light therapy and what else is out there. If you're already doing it, then you're probably on the right track. Then you simply just have to do this for a few years, and at some point, probably whatever you want to achieve will be achieved. But if you're just dreaming about everything, right, and you're distracted with your main job, and you actually don't do real steps in the right direction, then maybe instead of trying to tackle this mammoth of a task that you always push aside and that you rarely do, instead of doing this, maybe work on the basics. Right? As in video games, there is this analogy, you can't necessarily beat the biggest enemy at the beginning. Maybe you start off with the easier task first, right? Maybe you clean up your room first, as Jordan Peterson would say. So you start off small, you start off with the journaling, you start off reflecting on what you actually want to do. You start with getting fit, getting maybe your testosterone levels up, because the more testosterone you have, the more effort feels pleasurable, right? If you're just tired all the time because your blood sugar levels are through the roof, and because you're too stressed with everything and you're exhausted all the time, then how can you really expose yourself to a lot of stress? So the fundamentals have to be in place. And if you're already working hard anyways, and you don't need to get the fundamentals perfectly right, that's totally fine as well. But when I listen to people like Alex Hormozi, right, that only say the only thing that matters is that the task has to be done, that's correct. But you can also see in his physique, in his appearance, that he does have tons of discipline. So he might not be disciplined in every little area of life, but he's definitely disciplined in some, and he can focus that discipline into those specific areas where he wants to achieve his goals. So that's my message here, right? Don't be stressed, even more stressed, for all of those additional tasks, all of those routines that you have to do. Simply just regard them as tools that in case you don't yet do the tasks that you want to do, that maybe those are first stepping stones that bring your mindset, bring your body into the right direction, that then in the end enables you to actually do the tasks regularly, and for a long period of time, potentially. If it's the first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish here regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. There's also a Telegram group, in case you haven't yet joined the Telegram. The link is down below. Looking very much forward to chatting with you. See you over there. Cheers.